Well, welcome to the High Vibes with Binu podcast. I'm so excited to be live at the Pearl Hotel for the High Vibe Women event. And I'm here with my beautiful friend, coach, mentor, the Sarah Lambert. So make sure you follow her on Instagram. And I just want to do a little intro for Sarah before we dive in. Sarah is a high-performance business and leadership coach for entrepreneurs and a mom of two. Her work has helped hundreds of women scale their online businesses in an aligned and easeful way using nervous system-informed strategy and leadership. Please welcome Sarah Lambert. Let's dive into this juicy conversation. Welcome to the High Vibes podcast. I'm Binu, your host. My goal with every episode is to leave you feeling better, shining your light a little bit brighter than before you press play. Let's dive in.
Thank you for that.
Sarah, I am so excited to have this conversation with you here in front of this audience. And it just makes it more real. And I just want this to be so natural. And you and I have had such amazing conversations while you were my coach and mentor. And we still continue to have the most amazing conversations. And so today we're going to talk about embodied sales. Can you just, right from the get-go, so someone in the room's like, what is that? Can you just open up with what this is for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So raise your hand. Have you heard of, do you know this phrase, embodied sales? Does that sound familiar? Is this, okay, we got one person, two people. So embodied sales, to me, this is about selling the thing that you are most embodied in. It's about being the proof of concept. And it's as simple as that. When you are so embodied in what you do, sales becomes such an easy strategy. And so we're going to dive into it because there's parts, what do you sell? There's so many aspects of you. And so figuring out what it is, how you actually create the sale through your own embodiment, your own transformations.
Yeah, and we did an intro episode before we came here that was more about embodied leadership. And so please go check that out. I think it was just a few weeks ago. But what comes to me right away is that piece of leadership. So many women, since we are doing this work and we're helping other women sell their offers online, so much shows up when they just talk about going to sell their offer. So the leadership piece, let's dive into who does she need to be? What are the things that you see coming up for women when they go to sell? Yeah, let's start there. What are the blocks that come up? Because you can just say, just go sell your offer, but then I go to try and I freeze and I flop and I hide.
Yeah.
So let's just go there.
Yeah, it depends on the person, but a lot that comes up, a big one is fear of judgment. They don't mind sharing, but then when they have to go ask for the sale, it's like, oh, I feel guilty. I feel like people will judge me. I feel wrong for asking for the sale. And so fear of judgment's a big one. Fear of being seen, right? It's different to share someone else's product, but when you are saying, listen, this is good enough, I'm good enough for you to pay me. I'm saying this isn't free. I'm not just giving away this information. This is worth money. That's going to trigger something inside of you. It might be that, I'm being seen in a different light, but it might also be guilt from being raised to be generous, or, if it comes easy for you, you shouldn't charge for it. Just give it away. Why aren't you sharing it? And so depending on the person, it could be judgment, it could be visibility. There are a variety of things, but judgment is a really big one.
Yeah, and I love talking about judgment. Well, I don't love talking about judgment, but I love talking about eradicating judgment. And so shame, guilt. But the thing that's coming to me right now is worthiness. And this came up in a conversation with someone last week. And so I'd love to go here a little bit deeper. So you just said, we can easily sell somebody else's product or store. I can ask for where'd you get your outfit from? And you will shine a light on that store. Versus me selling, almost like selling my coaching, myself, my wisdom, who I am. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about worthiness, because I actually think there's that deep worthiness piece there.
Yeah, and would you say the worthiness would be similar to an imposter syndrome? Or would they be different?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm curious. Let's be curious about this, actually.
When I hear it, I think imposter syndrome of, well, who am I to charge for this? Who am I to be hired by this person? If we're always assessing the situation, well, this person seems further ahead than me, so I can't invite them into my offer. That's a level of worthiness. I'm not worthy of them to be my client. Maybe I should be that, right? Whereas we've talked a lot about how when you are really embodied in what you do, it doesn't matter where someone is in terms of how much money they're making, how successful they've been. Everyone can be your client because you are selling a very specific result for a very specific person. And so for me, I have worked with 8- and 9-figure entrepreneurs and founders. If I simply judge what I could put out there based on how much I had made, which a lot of people do, I'm a 6-figure business, I can't work with millionaires. Well, depending on what you do, you absolutely can. And so that worthiness piece might come up. It's like, I'm not worthy of this client. I'm not worthy of this experience, whatever it might be, that this amount of money, right? I'm not worthy of this amount of money, or even I'm not worthy of this feeling so easy.
Yeah, and actually we're getting to the embodiment piece, but I feel like these are the things that are underneath the surface, that if we don't bring this up here, then how do we release it, right? And it's like that, feel it to free it. You said that on the last episode, and it stuck so deep with me. So this part of worthiness, it's like, well, when I sell my offer, so I don't know how many like coaches are in the room, like it's a service, great, and like how many people have products that they sell? Okay, so my experience is from having a service, but when we come across as, I'm selling something that I do, my wisdom, my experience, and if somebody says no to me, like I feel like a lot of times I'm talking to women, we don't follow that through, we just freeze. So let's follow that through. So what if somebody says no to me? I start making up a whole bunch of stories in my head, like help her, that woman that's got those stories.
Oh, this is huge. And a lot of times this is happening subconsciously. I had a client who kept asking me, what do I post this week? And what should I say? And I said to her, well, what has been working? And she told me that everything's working and she keeps getting a bunch of DMs. And I'm like, well, how are the DMs going? What are the sales like? And she's like, I don't know. I haven't opened them. And I was like, why are you not opening them? Why are you worrying about putting out new content? You haven't even replied to these people. And she said, I just hate getting into my DMs. So we dove into it, and what we uncovered was that it wasn't that she hated her DMs, it was that she was afraid of rejection. And so she could sell, but when it came to the point where she actually had to offer her thing, even to the people who were saying, please, may I have this? She was protecting herself and avoiding the feeling of rejection. And so it's so important for us to get really curious about our behavior, really honest with ourselves. And if in that instance, we sat with the feeling of rejection and we removed it from the equation. And so that she didn't have to, it wasn't a white knuckling of, okay, just go. Because she said every other coach just said, just go answer them. What are you doing? There's money in your DMs. Go. Had she done that, she would have created the result she was trying to avoid. Because whatever you avoid, you create. If you're trying to avoid rejection, you're going to unconsciously manifest it, create it.
Rejection. This is a big one. Anybody else deal with this? Right? Fear of rejection. It's like we make a story up in our head of what it means. Like that's a really powerful experience that your client went through. Okay. I don't know, I'm just taking a moment because sometimes we just need space, right? Like I just want to take that as it is, and what you said to her was so powerful. And this is what I always say to you, you're the nervous system queen. So when you said you helped her feel it to release it, can we just talk that through? Because actually working with you is actually that piece has helped me so much.
Yeah.
And I would love to go deeper here.
Yeah, this is the simplest, most life-changing thing that you can do is learn to feel your feelings, but not in the way that you probably think of when you think of feeling your feelings. So in this example with the client who was afraid of rejection, we could have spent a lot of time talking about it. Okay, what are the thoughts what are you making this mean? What are the stories? But instead I just said, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to tell me where the rejection lives in your body. We first took a moment to ground and get into her body. And once we were able to locate it, she's like, I feel like there's an elephant on my chest. I have a pit in my stomach. And I said, great, feel it. That's really uncomfortable sensation, right? Just to feel it. It's just a sensation. And so closing off the mind, because I always say that the mind is actually like is like sugar to a parasite. If the emotion is the parasite and it's there, the mind is what's keeping it alive. So if you cut off the sugar from the parasite, there's not much for it to thrive on. So we cut off the stories and the mind drama and we just get to the root of it, and it's very uncomfortable to sit with, but science shows that it takes 90 seconds to just feel that discomfort before it's gone. And so, and then the thoughts actually don't come up. You don't have to worry about the thoughts because they're not there, and you almost look at, wait, what was I so afraid of?
Yeah, and I feel you tie that, so that nervous system work with the subconscious work, and add the spiritual piece, which you were alluding to, the law of attraction, right? And I love this, that the energy we carry, and I think I didn't realize it, like I thought, oh no, I'm not carrying anything, and then mine was in the pit of my stomach, that's where it shows up. And now I've watched it happen. When I can clear, when I can get into that high vibrational state, high vibes with Binu, high vibrational state, right? Using these tools, then that's the embodiment to me. That's what's attracting what I actually want. So before we really go into that embodiment, let's just talk about the universe, because that's what I talk about here on this podcast. Because something you said, Sarah, was really interesting to me last week when I asked you, like, what's your relationship with the universe? Because that's the thing that I talk to a lot of my clients about. It's like, when they're struggling, it's like, where's your connection? Oh, I haven't been connecting, I'm disconnected. So when I asked you, how do you bring the universe into play with sales? What did you say?
It was funny because I had this moment of, I do not know how to answer this question. And when I sat with it, I realized it's because I don't use the universe, it just is. And it's just a way of being. And so it's not something that every day I'm intentional about, because it is very embodied. It's just, I wake up and I naturally am understanding that I'm the luckiest woman in the world and that I create my reality. And there are, of course, times where I might get out of alignment and I might be complaining, or I might be, feeling all the negative emotions, and the universe will bring me back. In the moment, I was sharing a story about how I was having a hard day and I was lying in the bath and my head was under the water, and I'm thinking, what are we doing here on this planet? Like just making all the meals and cleaning up after all the kids and all these things. And then I caught the thought and said, my soul chose this. My soul chose everything that I'm experiencing. And in that moment, it was able to shift my perspective on, oh my God, what is the point of life? It was the full moon eclipse, by the way. So okay, this is what my soul chose. And this instant back to trust, back to surrender, back to a much higher vibration.
Yeah, so you're doing that naturally. I'm doing it naturally, but most of the people that we're working with, and maybe there's someone in the room that's like, okay, this is not so natural. So your thoughts adjusted quickly. So someone whose thoughts are not yet adjusting quickly, how do we get them into this embodied state from the state that they're in, which is more default state, right?
Okay, yes. So your default, everyone has a default state. And what this is the emotion that you're most comfortable feeling. So most people wake up and they wake up in the same kind of energy, whether it's yay, ready for the day, or oh gosh, I'm so tired. And everything in between, right? And the more aware we are of our default state and what we actually want to feel, and we can close the gap on that. But so the awareness is the first piece of noticing, oh wait, I'm saying that I want all this abundance and all this freedom, but I wake up and I just go through my day frustrated and annoyed and overwhelmed. Well, of course, you're going to attract more of those things versus doing the work to get into the higher vibration so that you can actually attract the abundance or whatever it is that you want to create.
Yeah, so even for the point, like I want to expand on what you're saying, it's like if you're going on Instagram or LinkedIn or posting or writing your emails from this state of frustration or overwhelm, what do you think you're going to attract back? You might get the client, but I know many of you in the room have received the, I hate to say it, the toxic client, the one that's drained you, and you're like, what? I didn't ask for this, right? And so really realizing where your state is, to me, has been a huge, like your vibrational frequency. Are you vibrating at a low vibrational thought, feeling? Like, so what do you do on those days?
I feel it to free it. So if I am feeling that low vibration, the best question that you can ask yourself is, well, first of all, what am I addicted to feeling right now? What do I want to feel? But then what am I avoiding feeling? Because a lot of us are actually uncomfortable feeling the thing that we want to feel. We want to feel joy, but that doesn't actually feel safe. Or we want to feel wealthy, but we've never experienced what that feels like. And your nervous system is not designed for success, it's designed for safety. And so safety to your nervous system is things that you felt before. So if you're trying to create something new, you have to be willing to feel something new. So just the same way it's very uncomfortable to feel rejection, sometimes it's actually very uncomfortable to feel joy, to feel love, to feel success. And so I ask, what am I avoiding feeling? What feels uncomfortable to feel right now? And then I actually go feel it. Because if I'm not avoiding feeling it, then I can feel it freely. And so what am I avoiding feeling? And then go feel it. And it might be good, it might be bad.
And you know, what I love about this nervous system work is, like, to me, doing the hypnotherapy as my background, it's like the unconscious mind to me is in the body. The subconscious mind is in the mind. And so when we've talked a few times, you know, we've talked about how to get into that embodied state faster. I'm all about soul growth, like as fast as we can, like not running a race, but faster soul growth so that we can live the extraordinary lives we're here to live sooner. Like that's what I'm after. So a lot of times with you, I'm like, how do I do this faster, Sarah? I'm still dealing with this. Patience, right? Binu's working on patience. But what are some hacks, some tips and tricks that these ladies can leave with today? Just some things like dancing, one of them. But let's just talk about getting in this embodied state before we sell.
Yeah. So this is going to be different for everyone. And I often tell my clients to make a list of 10 to 20 things that get them into state. For some people, it's going and lying in the grass or listening to a meditation. Other people, it's jumping or snuggling their kids. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's understanding movement, of course, right? We know the things that make us feel good. Lie in the grass, go for a walk, meditate. Those things we know. We very rarely do them when we're feeling low vibe. And so making a list of what works for you. I know that we talked about dancing. I love to, before a call, blast a song that I really love, dance. It immediately raises your vibration, but everyone is different.
Yeah, and even before we came in the room here today, we chose to go into the chill space just to regulate, to get centered. I don't know what you did, but I called in my universal forces to help me serve at the highest good. That gets me into a state. I don't know, what did you do over there?
I just felt the sensation in my body. So it's just anything coming up here, and I just allowed myself to feel any nerves, just allow them to be there so that they aren't driving the conversation here.
And so how do you help your clients on a daily basis, like to stay in this embodied sales? Like, because one time we were talking about, you know, the intuitive download comes in, right? And I've watched you do this, and literally I do this now. Like, let's talk about this. The download comes in, the big magical idea comes in, and you act.
Yeah, again, this is different for everyone. We're both manifesting generators, right?
Yes.
Any other Manny-gens? So we move fast. We have a lot of ideas. Depending on your design, you might not move this way, but really it just comes down to moving in your alignment. And so for me, moving fast is what creates momentum for me. So the more I delay, it's like trying to create an Instagram post for next month. I might create the best post ever, but if I don't post it right now when I think it's the best post ever, I'm going to read that in a month and be like, what am I talking about? You know, that feeling. And so that embodiment is just, okay, this is so true for me right now. and moving with it before you have time to doubt yourself or create the story or fall to the resistance that your body might give you.
Yes, because I know some people need to sit on things for 24 hours, right? And then some of us are like, if I act now, but this takes practice, right? So some of you are really good at this, and some of you are still practicing, right? Like, I think this is what we're going to be working on the rest of our lives, to be able to have that idea come in, sit with it, oh my gosh, trust it, act from it, like acting from your intuition. It's always right, right? To trust that. And right doesn't mean that, oh, all this like floodgates of sales coming in, but trusting and acting from that intuitive idea means like goodness is coming, and to trust that, right? Like, let's just talk about that. Like, sometimes we want to go and sell something, and I've done that, and like nobody signs up. And other times, lots of people sign up. Like, how do we deal with that if we are embodied with what we're doing?
So I guess there's two different ways to look at the first thing that comes up is you can't be attached to the result. So if you are, oh, this came through, and yes, this is what's going to make me my next 10 grand, you're attaching it to a result versus it coming through you and you sharing it because you can't help it, because that's just what is coming through you, and saying, I don't know if this is going to be a program that I have for the next 20 years or if it's going to flop and we don't even run it. But trusting in the assignment. And I was like, what's the assignment here? If nobody's signing up, I don't say, well, what the heck? I got this download and now nobody's signing up. What is the universe telling me? I say, oh, okay, the assignment must have been take fast action and see what it feels like for crickets. And now how are you going to show up? Are you going to keep talking about it, or are you going to allow that to determine your power?
Yes, because we give our power away by going inward. I mean, I had this voice that I've shared a lot, and my voice was, when things didn't go how I wanted them to, it was like, well, I must suck. Like, I don't know where I even got it from. It was from my childhood, right? And that whole thing of like, if something didn't work out, well, then I'm not good at what I do. That's not true, right? So I don't know, I just think this is like really, really powerful. So let's talk about power. Like owning our power, giving away our power.
Yeah, I think that when you are regulated, you're powerful. People think powerful has to be this, almost masculine performance, but power is truth. Power is authenticity. And this is actually where it ties so much to business and strategy, because when I am operating in my fullest alignment and I am regulated, I can't do anything wrong. Nothing fails. And there are times in my business where I've tried to launch the thing that I think is going to create the result, or that I think people want, or that is working. Oh, this person has a program on this, let me do that. And then I see, okay, that didn't get me the results because I wasn't operating in my power. I was outsourcing it to somebody else knows better. And so power is really just being super honest with yourself. You don't have to perform it. It's a feeling. And that's where the nervous system is such a massive part of that.
And I watched you do that last year, where you launched a mini program and then you had a few people. You tell the story, because I actually think hearing that story is so powerful.
Yeah, and it is a great example of what embodied sales isn't. So I launched a masterclass, and it was called something about a framework. I had a course creation agency years ago, and I was like, oh, okay. People are talking about frameworks and methodologies. I used to talk about that. You know what? I'm gonna launch that again. And it was just crickets. And then I was like, oh, I realized that I was trying to create something that was going to create a result versus what feels really good to me right now and what's super alive for me. What am I most embodied in right now? And so there's that experience. And then there's another experience where last spring, I launched a parenting course, and I am not a parenting coach, but I am a mom, and I am a coach who does a lot of nervous system work. And so I, on the whim, just said, you know what, I'm going to create a course about nervous system regulation for moms. If anyone's interested, let me know. Sales have never been easier, ever. And I was so shocked, but it was the most wonderful experience, because I realized You don't need 90 days of content to prime your audience if you are selling what you are most embodied in. And so people didn't have to see, well, who are you to create a course for moms? I'm a mom, I work on my nervous system, I show up, I consciously parent my kids, and whether I actively tried to share that, people could feel the truth, and so it converted. And that's why embodied sales, that from that power, but also from that alignment, and what are you embodied in? Sell that.
That's so good. Okay, this is a good opportunity to open it up to the floor for questions. We have time for a couple questions. And let's just make this a little fun. So whoever asks a question, you don't have a mic out there, so I will repeat the question so Sarah can answer. But when you stand up, I'm going to ask you to say your name and where you're from, and then everyone else is going to clap. Cool? I like clapping. Okay, questions. Who wants to ask a question? So I'm going to repeat the question. So the question is understanding what the word embodiment means.
So I don't know the formal definition of the word, but in my perspective, what it means is who you are. What is it that if you were to describe who you are, and it's a feeling and a being of the things that you, not the title, sorry, I've never really thought about the actual definition of it, but yeah, just like who you are and who you're being. And so if you think about that in terms of business, who you are and who you're being, if that's what you're selling, if your offer is a reflection of who you are, how you're showing up in the world, how you're being, that is going to be the instant resonance that people can feel. Like, oh, offer, yeah, that's her truth. Way easier to say yes.
Yeah, and to me, to add on that, when you say resonance, it's like when I think from a spiritual lens, we are being guided by unconditional love. We are one with unconditional love and infinite light. And if we're operating from that core, authentic being of who we are, love, right? Like even after you leave this room, like walk around as if the universe is coming through you as unconditional love, and you know who you are. And from there, sell. From there, talk to people. From there, ask for the ask. I love that. Thank you, Megan. I have the book Worthy for you as a prize, so come see me after. Okay, great. Andrea, stand up. Where are you from? Okay, we're going to repeat the question. She launched something, didn't go great, and someone said, you're straddling between the old version of you and the new version of you, and how does she manage with that?
This is such a common thing, and I did this for way longer than I like to admit when I was shifting from being very, very strategy focused to being more energetic focused. And being the very simple way to think about it is the more committed you are, the easier it actually is. And so we often think that straddling both sides of the fence is keeping us safe, but it's doing the opposite. And so the sooner that you jump, yes, it's going to require you to trust, and it might be uncomfortable. Maybe it's an income dip for a month or two, but it will ultimately be what you have to do. And so understanding that commitment, of course, but then what is it that you're trying to avoid? What is it that you're trying to avoid? And you can answer, what are you trying to avoid feeling by still trying to serve the old part of your business? So a feeling of not being wanted comes up. Yeah. And so you are trying to avoid that feeling. All of this stuff, we think, oh my God, I put out something that's straddling two sides. And really? Oh, I'm just avoiding feeling not wanted because that's a very uncomfortable feeling. And then you can simply go inwards and feel what that feels like located in your body. Feel it. You might also want to get curious about it, journal about it. Where did this stem from? Where did this come from? Because it might be something that's really rooted in your childhood that you want to understand a little bit further, where that might have been passed down from you. Sometimes understanding it for people helps them remove it. Or for me, I like to be like, I don't want to get into the drama of it. I'm just going to go in and feel it, free it. And then suddenly you're like, okay, it's safe to fully commit. You're welcome.
So what do we do, Sarah, with the people that, because I think maybe many people would resonate with this, like as you step into the new identity, new avatar, new client, this came up at the VIP night last night. What do we do with the people that we used to serve?
I think it's so beautiful to step into your next level of leadership and to invite people to come with you. And there will be that resistance of, oh, I don't really want to let these people go or disappoint these people. And it's your job as the leader to be able to work through that so that you can continue on your mission. And what I have seen is people will follow you. People want a leader. They want to see someone who's evolving. They don't want to be around people who are just doing the same thing year over year. They like to see it. And so while some people might be triggered, oh, I'm being left behind, she's not creating anything for me anymore. Some people might be like, oh, wow, I never thought that I needed that, but maybe I'll put myself in the room and I'll get uncomfortable and it's the best thing that ever happened to them. So you are going to feel uncomfortable. You'll likely feel uncomfortable. And if you lead yourself powerfully and you have really powerful women in your community, they will come with you on the journey.
So helpful. Helpful? Yes. Andrea, I have the book Multi-Passionate for you. I feel like Oprah. You get a book? You get a book? Okay, one more question. We're going to go here. Name and where you're from.
I struggled with this for a long time, thinking that I needed to put myself into a box and having to pick one lane. Am I strategy? Am I energetics? And then the moment I allowed myself to be all of it, it was so freeing. And so the way that I like to think about it is people who know me, they know all of me. They know that I'm a 2-4 in human design, that sometimes I'm really quiet and sometimes I'm really extroverted. They know that I like golf, but I also love to go to the spa and all the things. And it's not confusing to anybody. And so just giving myself the permission that it makes sense because it's who I am, and it's actually, people get curious about someone like that who doesn't necessarily make so much sense. And that's contrary to a lot of marketing advice, but people want to give their attention, or they pay attention to things that are a little bit different. And so I think because it is in your design, allow yourself, of course, use your strategic lens to be like, do I have to share everything? Maybe it's sitting down and being like, what are the 3 strategic things that I do want to share? Some people might say, no, you got to focus on one, but no, I actually love talking about this and I love talking about this, and giving yourself the permission to find that balance.
I love that. Do you have Carly Ottaway's book? Okay, you do. So I'm going to give you a different prize, okay? So we're going to take one more question. Someone who does not have my dear friend Carly Ottaway's book. Do you not have her book? Okay, you get to ask a question. Great question. What books have inspired us to become who we are today?
Well, there's 2 books that I go back to and I talk about all the time: The Big Leap and The Untethered Soul. Those 2 books I feel like are life's answers all wrapped up into one. And so that has really given me so much wisdom and is a lens that I continue to live my life and evolve through.
Well, beside the book that you're winning today, Carly Ottaway's Coming Home book, which is amazing, and she's in the room, which is fun. And honestly, Carly, your book has really helped because it brings a lot of this stuff forward. But I was just thinking, what's the book? So there's a book I was introduced to last year called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Yeah, you just got to love his name. It is like this thinnest book, but there is something in there that started my whole becoming journey. I think it was like even before we started working together. And he says this thing. It's like, you just need to think and act in a different way. And that's where this whole becoming really hit me. Think and act in a different way. It's not so simple, but that really has stuck with me. Oh my gosh, this is so good. We're getting the time check sign, so we need to wrap this up. But as we do, Sarah, like, what would you? I always want to ask this question. You know, I love talking about infinite possibilities and this limitless life. Mm-hmm. And I always end my podcast saying that we're here for the extraordinary life, and I hope you are too. Leave them all with something. If they want to live their extraordinary life, their relationships, their business, What would you leave them with a few sentences?
Like I mentioned before, I love to live my life walking around with the belief that I'm the luckiest woman in the world. And I say this to my kids all the time, we're so lucky. And I have a funny story where whenever I'm driving and we hit a green light, I'm like, luckiest woman alive. And just the smallest little things, I'm always validating the belief. And so it feels true because that's how I live. And my kids do it too, which is beautiful. But I had a moment where my husband was actually driving me to the hospital and we were hitting every green light and I was in pain, but I was like, I'm the luckiest woman alive, luckiest woman alive. I didn't even realize I was doing it. But then we pull into the hospital, we get the best parking spot in the emergency room parking spot. And I say, see, look at us, we're so lucky. And he looks at me, he says, I think you're the only person on the planet who would be being driven to the emergency room just talking about how lucky she is. And I burst out laughing because I wasn't doing it on purpose, it's just who I am, but you are what you believe. And so allow yourself, and maybe it's some of my clients feel a little triggered. They are like, I can't go there yet. And so I know for you, it's like everything's always working out for me. So what's the belief, the affirmation, if you will, that you can practice every little thing that happens? If someone opens the door for you, I'm the luckiest woman alive. Just starting to reiterate this to yourself, it truly can be as simple as that and rewiring how you show up in the world.
I love that. And actually what I love is it's so you, and what I say is so me. And the next person, I'm just thinking of a friend of mine, someone opened the door, she'd be in deep gratitude, right? So whatever it is to flip your belief to something, but you've trained yourself. I've trained myself, but I realized earlier at the session I went to, oh, there was a new sneaky belief I hadn't even thought of that came out. Right? So this is a lifelong journey, and I think if we look at it, we're always learning and growing, then that's how we live our extraordinary life. Well, Sarah Lambert, thank you so much for being here live in this recording in the Pearl Hotel, downtown Burlington with me, with this beautiful live audience. Can we please give her a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you listening. If this episode resonated with you and you wish to speed up your growth, feel free to check out my programs and services. Just go to my website, binu.ca. And if you know someone else who is seeking more meaning in life and could use some inspiration and high vibes along the way, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world. And it goes a long way if you take a few seconds right now and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful.